welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UKOCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 132nd most popular podcast for people who participate in online competitive tiddlywinks.
Ian, my friend, welcome to the Swift Half on what is going to be a busy evening. How are you?
I'm good, Alan. Yeah, I looked at the notes like on Monday and thought, oh, well, we could just put our feet up. Nothing's happening in the world of OCR. Yeah, we had something last weekend, which was the big news. And we thought this whole show was going to be dedicated to that. And yeah, then stuff happened.
Stuff has certainly happened. A lot of stuff happened. We've got some friends coming in later. So I guess we're going to crack on now with a bit of news and then we'll have our friends on a bit later. Are you good with that?
Absolutely good with that, Alan. What are you drinking?
You're straight into this. As always, Ian, I am on Beck's Blue. I've got so much Beck's Blue coming out of my ears. I am on Beck's Blue again. What about you?
We got a sponsorship done with Beck's Blue, yeah.
I'm going to bring them up. I've tried sponsorship with Brewdog and they're not interested, so I'm on Beck's Blue now.
Okay, well, next week we're just going to call it the beer that can't be named if you don't sponsor us, okay?
Okay, so I'm currently, so next week I'm on the beer that can't be named, but this week is Beck's Blue. What about you?
Okay. I'm on Ribena. I'm not Vimto, so I'm a disgrace to everyone from Manchester, but I bought a meal deal. It came with Ribena. I didn't drink it, so it came home, and it's now my drink for a podcast.
Oh, no. What meal deal was it? Where was it from?
I'm embarrassed to say it was from a petrol station because I really needed petrol, and I'd forgot to make a butty this morning. And yeah, it was actually from a little Waitrose, would you believe?
Oh, I like that. You reminded me there, talking about cars and petrol. Can I give you my little story that I've had this week?
Go on, then.
Non-OCR related. So, I bought a new car. Bought a BMW X3. People know that. It's a little 4x4. I wanted a 4x4. And when I bought it, it had a little oil leak. So it went back to the garage within the first 2 days and they fixed it. Clean, no oil leak. And then last week, the oil leak started again. So I took it to my garage that deals with my cars and looks after my cars. And he puts it up on the ramps and he says to me, Alan, he says, this oil leak's not just happened. This has been going since you got the car. So basically what he said to me is that they've cleaned it and not really done a lot. So he says, you need to take it back. So I've gone to take it back to the garage that I bought it from. No, you've had it for over 30 days. We can't do nothing about it now. So off I trucks back to my garage. And now my garage are really, really good. And they have taken all the bottom trays off the car and found out what it is. The oil leak is a £1.20 washer that wasn't replaced when I bought the car. Not only did they not replace it, Ian, they took a bigger washer and tried to drill an hole in it, and the hole is not round, hence the leak. So me and the car people I bought the car from are going to the small claims court. Yes, they've made a bodge job of it, Ian, an absolute bodge job of it. So yeah, that's my story for my car this week. But my car's all up and running and perfect now.
That's good. I just want to help out any listener who experiences something similar to this. Listener, the rules on cars are kind of set in stone, for like a better description. You do have rights. Alan is lucky he had a good garage who sorted it out for him. But if you're not that lucky, if they try to fob you off after 30 days, they're talking garbage. You have up to 6 months after you buying the car, any faults within that 6 months of you buying the car, providing they can't prove you did it, like if you roll over a nail, I'm sorry, that's on you, they have to prove it was your fault, not the other way around. So don't get fobbed off after this whole 30-day thing. Go back to the garage and keep going back to the garage. And if it is in the first 6 months, they are allowed one attempt to repair it, and if they fail, you can just hand the car back to them, ask for your money back.
Yeah, and eventually, well, I'm going to take it to small. I've had it fixed now, and it cost me £90 in labour and £1.20 for the part, but that it did take them 2.5 hours to fix it, in terms of taking all the trays off and everything else, and finding the fault and then replacing it. So anyway, I've got it fixed now, Ian. So yeah, it's small claims court for me to get the money back if they don't pay me back at the first attempt. So that's my thoughts.
It's only 30 quid for about 90 quid worth of claim.
Yeah, it is. I think so. Let's talk about breaking news that's come out today as we're recording this. OCRWC and Joe DeSena taking over the world. Thoughts, Ian?
Yeah, I don't know if everyone will get this reference, but do you remember WWF wrestling, Alan?
Yeah, I do. With British Bulldog and that, yeah.
Yeah, Vince McMahon, who runs that, basically did this. He completely took over the wrestling world. And, he bought up all the small companies. He bought WCW, who people who are from the 90s might remember, and a few others. And Joe seems to be doing exactly the same thing. And Alan, we all know that monopolies are great for the sport. There's never a problem with a monopoly, is there?
Never ever a problem with monopoly. I saw this today, and the first thing that come to me, Ian, was we've got OCRWC coming. It wasn't. I'm going to say it wasn't necessarily news to me. I thought this might have happened a little while ago when I heard that OCRWC was going to be partnering with Spartan. So I did think a little bit about this back then. Now Spartan are purchasing OCRWC, but not necessarily Adventure. So I don't know what the whole thing is. Is it they've purchased the goods, but they haven't purchased the name outright or something? Is that right? From the statements I've read?
Adventure is the overarching company. So think of this as just buying a little bit of a company. So a little bit of Adventure didn't go under, but a little bit like in Wilkinson recently, where some companies have bought up stores. Right. So this is kind of similar to that. They're buying up the assets. I suspect what they're buying is the IP of OCRWC. I'm not sure what assets OCRWC had, whether it owned any obstacles or anything like that, but they'll effectively be buying the assets. They're probably definitely buying the list of subscribers, so the massive database that I'm sure OCRWC have. They've bought that, and they will be putting on the race. This isn't a buying to shut down, I don't believe. There's also this thing that Adrian, who ran OCRWC, is staying as a consultant.
Yeah.
So they're not buying the company like they did with Tough Mudder. They're just buying a little bit of Adventure. What else Adventure does, I have no clue. I don't know if you know, Alan.
No, I don't. But so that's similar to what I thought it was. So does this mean now, next year, because Spartan have talked about the Spartan World Championships are going to be in Abu Dhabi for the next God knows how long, what's going to happen to OCRWC? Is we're going to see OCRWC go to Abu Dhabi for the Spartan World Champs?
Well, I don't think anyone knows. At the moment, it's all speculation. I'm going to go down two lanes, Alan. Which one do you want first? Glass half empty, glass half full. Which one do you want?
Let's go empty first, because I always like to finish on a glass half full.
Okay, glass half empty. Something someone brought up is what OCRWC has done really, really well is showcasing all these races. So although they would have a host race or they'd have some obstacles, they may own obstacles, I'm not sure, or they rent obstacles in, but they've often highlighted, like Skyline was a major one. You had Skull Valley, you had this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is Spartan, if it runs OCRWC, is Spartan going to want to highlight all these other races?
See, now that's a very, very good point, because unless it's Tough Mudder, I don't see Spartan wanting to highlight any other race.
Of course, the other argument is what other races are left, but yeah. And the other aspect is, although I don't think it's a buy it to shut it down, could this be a way of trying to force everyone to go to Abu Dhabi?
And that's exactly potentially the way I see it, if I'm honest, Ian. I might be wrong, and I hope I am. I really hope I am. And I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks' time, after October the 8th, when the OCRWC potentially last event happens, what will we see after that? Because we do know that this year there's not many British athletes going to OCRWC. You know, we've got the British champs at the same weekend.
We do, and I think that was the issue. Basically, British obstacle sports completely ruined OCRWC by clashing with the dates, forcing all the British athletes to not go to Mammoth, which in turn meant that OCRWC can't pay the bills and had to sell to Jody Senna. James Burton, I hope you're happy.
James Burton ruining everything. I sent you a little meme today, didn't I? Because it reminded me of Pinky when he said, "What did he say? Is the mice, wasn't it, years ago?" And it was like, "What are we going to do this evening? And we're going to take over the world like we always do."
Take over the World Championships. But for any audio listeners who obviously can't see my face, and it will be pretty much audio listeners to this, that was tongue-in-cheek. I do not believe that British athletes not going to Mammoth has caused this, because I'll be honest, I don't think many were going to Mammoth anyway. It's a long, long journey, and it's not exactly an adventure like going to Las Vegas or going maybe Alaska. You know, of all the places to go, you pick somewhere. It's almost like holding the World Championships in Bolton. And I can say that. I'm from there.
Yeah,
there's nothing to say. Nothing to say. But should we go glass half full?
Glass half full. Give me a glass half full, Ian.
Okay. The glass half full is we understand that Adrian is staying as a consultant.
Yeah.
Joe wouldn't have done that for any reason other than wanting to keep OCRWC going. You don't need a consultant if you're just buying it up.
Yeah.
Also, what we have seen Joe do is with successful brands, he tends to stay away. So, for example, Tough Mudder, people were very scared that Tough Mudder would become Spartan Light.
Yeah.
Instead, it's almost been run as a franchise within the Spartan brand.
True. Yeah.
Decker's very successful, and Decker is kind of allowed to sort itself out. In fact, Decker at one point was propping up Spartan allegedly during the COVID years because it was making money through the gym program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So the glass half full would be, yes, he's bought it, but he's bought it to save it and ensure that if it's having a lean year this year, which it may or may not be having, that it can carry on.
So are we saying that Joe DeSena is the saviour of OCR?
I'm not saying that yet, but I'm not saying that. And Alan, here's something conspiracy corner now. So we've had glass half empty, glass half full.
Yeah.
Ian Adamson.
Yeah.
And Joe DeSena have history. Good history.
Yes, good history, yes. From our understanding.
Well, yeah, from our understanding, World OCR spun out of Spartan. Most people know this.
Yeah.
Could buying OCRWC be a way to easily merge what we saw this past weekend, which we'll talk about later, into a single World Championships?
Oh, yes. That is more likely that Spartan are doing this because with Ian, so they can do the UIPM, OCR, COR, Federation of Obstacle Sports, whatever it is, into the OCRWC. And it can be one, the OCR World Championships as one. Like it, Ian.
So you then run 3 World Championships. You have your Spartan World Championships, which is the Spartan.
Yeah.
You have your World's Toughest Mudder Championships, which is the premier 24-hour event.
Yeah.
And then you have your OCRWC in collaboration with FISO, UPIM, and any other alphabet society that happens to be involved with OCR now. I'm not sure, I can't keep track. But that then runs as pure OCR, so running more of the grip strength. You've also folded in Ninja to some degree by having a 100-meter course on it.
So what we're saying is we've got a true trifecta. It's a true trifecta here.
Potentially a true trifecta. So again, we are just spitballing here. We don't know whether that is the plan, but we do know that Joe likes the idea of getting in the Olympics. we do know that it has been spoken about. I can't even get my words out tonight.
Yeah.
So exciting, this news, Alan. It has been spoken about that OCRWC and FISO World Championships causes confusion in the market. What better way than merging them?
I like Ian. I think you're onto something. You heard it here, folks. You heard it, Ian, from Ian's mouth. It's a merger. Right now, it's a merger.
Or alternatively, we all have to give free earth-shattering a ruse to start a 3K course. Who cares?
Oh gosh, we'll come back to some more of that later. I'm sure we will. But let's move on to Tough Mudder news. You mentioned Tough Mudder there. New season announced.
Yeah, new season, and we have 2 new venues. Although we've not exactly had an increase of events in the UK because we've lost 2, we've gained 2, haven't we?
Yeah, there's been no real increase in events. You're quite right. But we have got Birmingham, or is it just North London?
We've got Birmingham, which is in true Tough Mudder style, I think closer to Worcester.
Yeah. North London.
I think it's Alcaster or something like that. I'd check, but I know we're running a little bit low on time before our guests get here. But Alcaster, so South Birmingham, quite South Birmingham. But I'm actually in favour of it, Alan, because I think people in the Southwest, particular, our good friends in Bristol, like Danny Lister, our friends in Wales, they often get short shrift when it comes to events. So I have no issue whatsoever with them putting an event closer there. And I think it's been used for major series. I want to say Daryl Fox mentioned that it might have been used for major series back in the day.
Yeah, someone's mentioned that to me as well. It was part of the major series. So and they were good events.
So, well done to Tough Mudder. We should confirm that the 2 events that are disappearing are Morden and Finsbury Park. So the Tough Mudder city type events, which caused a lot of problems in the papers, they're not coming back. So, but we're gaining Birmingham, and Alan, we're gaining Pippingford.
Pippingford Park, the home of OCR, is back on the Tough Mudders. Has it ever been to Pippingford? Tough Mudder? I don't think it has. It Spartan has.
No, but Spartan has. A lot of other races have, but yeah, Tough Mudder is going to Pippingford, and unfortunately, in true Tough Mudder style, sometimes they managed to turn a good news story into a story, didn't they?
It's not. Well, it's more than an story. It's a massive backward step, in my opinion, and I have seen the reasons why they're doing it. So, first of all, let's tell our listeners they are going to be charging £20 for parking, which they used to do years ago. You know, every Tough Mudder event I used to go to, they paid a lot of money for parking.
It used to be a tenner. It's 20 quid to presumably park in a field unless they built a multi-story on Pippingford that I'm unaware of.
Yeah. And I mean, they're saying they're doing it for environmental impact. They've got to replace, and I get they've got to repair the land that gets damaged and things like that. But I don't know any other event that's charging for Pippingford Park. Does Spartan normally charge for Pippingford Park when they go down there?
They don't, although someone pointed out to me that Spartan gets maybe 1,000 to 2,000 people, whereas Tough Mudder might get 10,000. So there might be insufficient fields for parking, which is fair enough. I can kind of understand it, but here's an idea, Tough Mudder. Run a park and ride.
Run a park and ride. What an idea. What an idea. Get land elsewhere and run a park and ride.
Do it that way. If that's the issue, find a car park or something nearby, run a park and ride. Yeah, it's not ideal, but
M25, run a bus down our shoulder.
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. But yeah, it's just one of them things. And we know we'll moan about it now, and people will pay it. We know that people are going to pay. Yeah,
they will. Unfortunately, they will. I've got to admit, I'm not a big fan of it, Ian, but it is one of those things. Yes.
It is indeed, Alan. And final bit of news, though. Let's leave Tough Mudder land on a good piece of good news. They're going to Germany twice. And Paris once, which is the first. I checked this with Joanne Smith, who is Solo Mudder's admin. Can't get my words out again tonight. Allegedly, well, apparently not allegedly, Tough Mudder has tried to go to France once before. It lasted one event, and it was run by a franchise. So well done, Tough Mudder, for getting back to France.
Loving it, Ian. So moving on from Tough Mudder, Ian, let's go back to Spartan, because Spartans announced something as well just before we came on air.
They did. They've announced the season passes have come out for next year. And our good friend Graham sent these to us. Let's have a look, Alan. You can get a trifecta pass, 3 races, 1 year, any heat for 248 quid. No, that's not bad if you just want a trifecta.
Yeah, that sounds quite reasonable.
Then you've got what else have you got? A season 24, 498, which will get you entry to all sprint, super, or beast races in the UK, any heat. And also gets you some gear like a free hoodie, a t-shirt and cap worth 155 quid apparently. Free spectator passes. I think, does that mean that Spartan are charging now for spectator passes?
I think they've always charged, haven't they?
Have you always charged?
I'm sure Spartan's always charged. I'm sure it was always, but I'm going to go back now because I don't know if it's still the same. But I know when I used to do Spartans, it was always £10 for a spectator.
That's interesting, right? Moving on from that, Ultra Season 24, unlimited racing in the UK. So then you have entry to Sprint, Super Beast, Hurricane Heat 12-hour, and Ultra races, and that's 671 quid plus booking fee, I imagine.
Yeah, well, booking fee on that be 30 quid?
Potentially, yeah. I think our good friend Graham was saying if you add the fees, it's about 730 quid.
Wow. That's not cheap, is it? That's not cheap.
It's not, and it's odd if you compare it to Tough Mudder season pass,
which is I don't see the price this year because obviously I get mine free now with my huge tattoo on my leg. I get mine free. So what is it this year for the Tough Mudder season pass?
Yeah, for those of you who do not want to have a permanent reminder, a regular season pass, so getting you into everything, is 475 quid. And think about the number of races you can have for that.
Yeah. And
the season pass plus, which gets you Infinity and Europe's Toughest Mudder, 565, so cheaper.
So 565, and they've got about 7 events over the UK.
Said that wrong. 595. I sometimes get that number mixed up. No, I think it was more events. I want to say 8 or 9.
And Spartan's got really 4: London West, Midlands, South West, and London South.
So unless you're doing the trifecta, or you really want to do racing for time, Tough Mudder does seem to be better value.
Much better value. That's what I'm thinking of. So yeah, you can do a trifecta every one. So what's that? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do 12. If you do a trifecta every weekend, you can do 12. Well, you can't do 12 because there's only Sprint and Beast in August at Southwest. So you can do 11 then. So 11, you can do 3 trifectas and 1 double, unless you want to go for Hurricane Heat and that. But then if you go to Spartan, you can do Infinity.
Tough Mudder.
Tough Mudder. You can do Infinity on a Saturday, race on a Sunday as normal, and then you've also got ETM. Much better value.
Yeah, there's 10 races. There are also 3 races in Europe. We're not sure whether or not you're going to get entry into the Europe races too. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10 races, Alan. So you've got South East, which is in Pippinford, London West, which is the typical venue near Reading. You've got Scotland, which is only 1 day, but you could still have fun there. You've then got Midlands, you've got Manchester, you've got Yorkshire. At Yorkshire, if you really, really want to go for it, you could add in Europe's Toughest Mudder as well. Then you've got Southwest, Birmingham, London South, and Northwest.
I never thought I would ever say these words, Ian. Tough Mudder is value for money.
That is value for money. I know you have to move and you'd have to go the length of the country to get your money's worth. But if you're in the Midlands, for example, so if you live, say, not too far from Birmingham, you have so many races within 2 hours of you.
Yeah, you have, haven't you? Because then the other long one is Scotland.
Scotland and Yorkshire. That's the only long, because even Northwest, we often joke about this. Northwest is North Wales.
Yeah. Oh. Does that mean I've got to move to Birmingham? No, I'm not moving to Birmingham.
You live in Barnsley. It's only kind of like across the way from Birmingham.
It begins with B.
Begins with B.
Across the way. It's across the way.
Southern folk.
We all talk about Mr. Mouse and Tough Guy being the home of OCR, and that was just outside Birmingham. So is Birmingham the home of OCR?
So if it might be, if we buy Mr. Mouse a season pass for Tough Mudder, he could easily get to 8 out of 10 races.
Chip in, folks, if you want to buy Mr. Mouse a season pass to Tough Mudder, let us know. We'll all chip in and we'll send him one in the post. That would be fun.
Do we know anyone who still is in contact with Mr. Mouse? Because for 600 quid, it might be worth it.
There's no one in contact with Mr. Mouse. Mr. Mouse wasn't never in contact with Mr. Mouse. There are a few people. I do know a few people that would still talk to him and still do it. But yeah, I would. It would be interesting if he did. If he did rock up, I'd go and give him a lift to them all. I would give him a lift to them all.
Me too, but yeah, it is funny when you think about it that, yeah, he's probably in the best place to get maximum value for a Tough Mudder season pass.
I remember when he went to Nuclear Challenge and he did the death slide with a kilt on, and he really had nothing on under his kilt, and it was caught by quite a lot of photographers, shall we say.
I don't even know how to react. It was a different time. Yeah. Now he'd be on a list.
Probably... yeah, Mr. Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Yeah, he would definitely be on a list.
Right. So, talking about Nuclear, they've got a race coming up this weekend, Alan.
Blast and Blackout, isn't it?
Blast and Blackout. So the 5K laps won, and I think we had some news from James is that the 5K is a qualifying event for the OCR European Championship short course. So if you qualify, you could also be added to I say our like we have a team. I'm just reading this out directly. Added to the British Obstacle Sports short course national athlete list as a result of your placing with potential FISO OCR World Championship selection. That sounds posh. That really does sound posh.
It sounds very, very posh. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there again because I think I could win this 5K. I do think I've got 5K in me. I've got a chance of winning this 5K.
You can't, Alan. Unless it moves to Wolf Run, you can't win it.
Got to move further up north. I'm taking a newbie around Diablo race this weekend.
You're taking a newbie around Diablo race?
Never ever done a OCR before, and I said I would go around. We would film it. I would take around, and yeah. So never ever done an OCR before. Been roped into it, and I said, yeah, I'll go along and run it with you. So yeah, I'm going to Diablo race in Lincoln.
Is that on Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
So do you think we'll have some content either Saturday evening or maybe Sunday on the UKOCR Facebook and Instagram?
Maybe even on YouTube. I'm taking the Insta 360s out, so depending on how quick I can get something out, we'll definitely get something on Facebook and Instagram. Little clips on there, but yeah, that might be more from my phone, I think, rather than the footage I'm going around with the Insta 360s and that.
Phone footage is good as a little tease, Alan. It's always good.
It is.
And it's actually a busy weekend this weekend, isn't it, Alan? Because I'm hopefully going to Conquer Fitness. They put on a new event called Level 7, I believe it's called. And that's in Macclesfield. It's taking part in a car park. It's a fitness event. So I'm going to go and actually do some work this time, Alan. I know it's been a while since I've done some work for the show, but I'm going to get some various media stuff and see how we get on, because it's an interesting concept. Imagine High Rocks, but you have to go upstairs after you finish a zone.
Go upstairs, level. So that's level 1. You finish on level 7.
I believe so. I hope it's that way around, because the other way seems a bit too kind.
Well, are you going to get some footage from? You'll definitely get footage from there then.
I'll definitely try and get some footage, probably more Instagram rather than YouTube, because as we found with fitness races, they can be quite hard to get YouTube quality unless you've got a multi-camera setup, but we'll get something for the Instagram. And we'll also see if they've put in the final workout of having to pay to get over the car park barrier afterwards.
I like that. I like that. Well, listeners, Ian's just left me as we got two guests come and join us. Tamar Athlete, second place in the world. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. Really good to be here. I was actually third, though, not second.
Well, the results are, say, second on mine, so I'm going to go with second because second sounds better than third.
Yeah. Well, I got a third place medal, so I'll need to swap that then.
Is that what it was in the end? Because there's a lot of problems with the results, wasn't there? There was like, we saw people first and then became third, and then people who was like 10th jumping into podiums, and it just seemed to be very mixed.
So there was a timing map before the penalty loop. So I think they took the timing chips off people who didn't complete, but some of us kind of got stuck there, and some people have still not completed. So then once those were put back in, then it changed the results. But yeah, I was definitely third, and then Lou was fourth on the main race.
The third place then, let's say, absolutely amazing. Well done, Taylor. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to go through some results now in a minute, but we're going to come back to you in a second. And our other guest today, Grumpy, and I hope he's not going to be too grumpy today, technical official, probably one of the best known marshals out there and everything. Welcome, mate. How are you?
Not bad, you?
I'm absolutely wonderful. Thank you for joining me, because I know you're a very busy man, and when I messaged you the other day and said, do you want to join me? You was like, no, I'm not. I'm too busy to join you. And then he was like, okay, then go on, I will.
Rubbish. I said I was at work, dude. At work.
Fantastic. Thank you. First, I'm going to come to you, Grumpy, because I've watched your Facebook. I've seen your Facebook, and there's a... Let us talk about being sent to an obstacle. What's this about, you being sent to an obstacle?
When you signed up, they allocated you positions, and mine was spinning wheels. So looked at the course map, knew where I was going, walked all the way out there, no spinning wheels. So the TO that was with me cycled back because he had a bike, and he gave me a call and said, they haven't built it. So I had to walk all the way back, got put onto another obstacle that was built, and then got moved back down to the penalty zone, which caused havoc with people's timing chips and everything else.
Oh, so spinning wheels was on the plan.
It's on the map.
Didn't actually build it.
No, it's on the map. You literally go up the ramp. Just after the carry, you did a loop, and spinning wheels was supposed to be in this loop, and they just didn't build it. Didn't have time, apparently.
Oh, that's a bit of sad news. That did you realise this time now while you was running it as an athlete that there was an obstacle that wasn't there, or?
There was a few that we realised at the end, but that one they told us it wasn't in it. But you could practice that one in the athletes' village anyway, so it wasn't really one I was worried about. But yeah, one less thing to lose my band on, I thought. So
long second. So they actually built it in the event village, but not out on course.
They had ones.
Go on, Tamar, sorry.
So they had so the different companies, so like Toros and things. I think it was a Toros one that you could practice on the different things. The things like firefighters, which people have never sort of come across. You could have a practice on it. So the spinning wheels, there was a few set up in the village to have a go at.
Oh wow! That's pretty good. That I like that. They're actually setting up obstacles in the village and things like that. That's a whole different kettle of fish. I'm going to come back to you now, Tamar. So let's talk about, from an athlete's point of view, 103 British athletes went out there. A quick shout out to them. So we'll start in alphabetical order. Alexander Cook. I'm now going to miss 102 out and go straight to Zach Harper. So everyone in between, well done. I'm not going to give you all a shout out. But yeah, 103 athletes went out there. What was it like from the atmosphere, from the British side of British point of view?
Oh, it was amazing. Seeing everyone in their like race uniforms and things, the bright blue, the vest that we run in, it was incredible. And just getting behind people that you didn't really know, but you knew they were part of the UK and new friends. It was all good. And when it came to the opening ceremony and they said, oh, line up in one line, and we were actually two lines, it just showed what a force we were, really.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I say 103 athletes went out there. I do believe we were potentially the biggest country out there, from what I've said, been told.
Italy definitely had a lot of athletes there.
Right.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest.
Fantastic. Now Ian's back. Listener, Ian's back with us. He's been for his loo break. He's just come back and joined us. And we just quickly jumped on there, talking to Tamar and Grumpy. So if you want to say hi to them, you can say hi to them, Ian.
Hi, Grumpy. Hi, Tamar. Tamar, This might be the first time we actually met. I've seen, obviously, Grumpy around, well, one or two courses. But yeah, pleased to meet you, Tamar.
I think we met when we went to the awards.
That's a good point. Of course we did. I may have a slight memory loss from the awards. I can't think why that would be. Alan, you might have something to do with that.
I remember nothing about the awards, full stop. My memory's gone from there.
So Tamar, I do apologise. Yes, I believe we probably did meet at the awards, and I'm very, very sorry if I said anything at them. But should we talk back about the World Championships and what may or may not have been said in near Nuts at the start of this year?
Yes. Yeah, let's go back to it. 3K. You did all three races, am I right, Tamar? So you did the 100 meter. So you do the 100 meters. I don't see you did the 100. You did the 3K, the 15K, and the team event, didn't you?
Yeah. So I raced elite for the 3K, and then age group, and then I was just with the competitive team.
Wow. What was the? I mean, in the 3K, am I right in saying you're a little bit further down the list, 32nd place?
Yeah.
Is that right?
So it's the first time I've really done the 3K. Normally I just do the longer race. But one of my friends said to me, oh, you should do it and it will give you a feel for the obstacles. So I wasn't really racing. Literally by the time we'd got to over the cargo net, my wave had gone. So I just kind of let them go and then was just trying to complete the obstacles. My aim was just to finish with my band rather than to compete with the elite. But it's always really nice to stand on the start line with, the best people in the world. And afterwards chatting to Nicole Miracle, she was lovely. So yeah, my aim wasn't really to race that one. My main race was the 15K.
So was it a case of making sure that you kept your band, you did all the obstacles, you prepared yourself more for the 15K? Was that the game plan then?
Because obviously it's only single attempt on all the obstacles, or the main ones that take your band. So I just wanted to make sure I could get through them. And it certainly gave me confidence for the next day to know that when we got down to the village part of it, where the main bit of the obstacles were, that I could do them.
Cool. Grumpy, what was you doing on the first day of the 3K?
Penalties.
Was you in charge of penalties all day?
I did penalties on the Friday and Saturday. Primarily, I took the timing chips if people came up with no bands, and then gave them a hand with the barrels, a full 22 gallons, so 70 plus kilo weight, which they were allowed to roll. So wasn't that bad.
Wow. And how far did you have to roll?
About 200 meters, I suppose, 100 to 200 meters. Not told you I was away. To start with, it was quite bad because obviously the ground would be uneven. But by the time Saturday came around, it was almost like tarmac. They rolled it out so well that it was smooth. Wow. But yeah, it was fun watching the people that lost all their bands on the Friday come through on the Saturday on a bigger distance going, I've kept one.
We'll give a quick shout out to all our podium finishes on the 3K while we're at this point. Jamie Gain in the Paras, Imi Hales, Lou Ferryman, Laura Haywood, Incano Casellas, Harry Jeffrey, Tony Leary, and Andrew Durans. Well done to all you guys. And well done to everyone who took part in the 3K. Now, I understand that I'm going to go back to day one. In the event village, there was some portaloos. There was 8 of them, if I remember rightly. Someone's told us 8 little portaloos in the event village.
On day one, yes.
For about 8,500 athletes.
On day one, yes.
Yeah.
On day two, there was no portaloos because day one had filled them up.
Because so for 1,500 athletes, first of all, we have 8 portals, not really quite enough. And I'm understanding on day 2, they actually closed them because they couldn't be. They were dirty. Let's just say they were dirty.
They were full, dude. Overflow.
Yeah, I came out and was nearly sick, and I had to queue up for about half an hour just before my race, and it was the worst experience ever.
Oh, now am I right? And someone's told me that these portaloos as well were right next to the hot dog van. I'm going to call them hot dog vans, but the food vendors as well.
Yeah.
Brilliant
bit of planning.
Yeah. This is not Ian. This sounds like something. I want to say, Ian, this sounds like a shit show, but yeah, it does really.
Actually,
have you not seen Stuart Avery's video?
No, and I don't think I will. Alan, this actually sounds like someone has taken our playbook when we organise something in a joking way and actually ran with it. Did they? do you remember that theatre show called The Producers? And they have two plans. One says show to the police, and one says don't show to the police. And we have that, don't we? We have a funny plan and the actual plan. Did they steal our funny plan for an event?
I think they must have heard this. So I can't say what I was saying. If the toilets in the event village are not working on the Sunday, how close were the nearest toilets?
There were a couple in the building block just behind, but obviously when you've got a couple of thousand, they don't last long either because there's no sewage system. It's all cess tanks. So don't put your hands in your head, Ian. It's just the way it was, dude. But yeah, so there were a few like in the offices and a restaurant around the corner. And there was one that the TOs kept secret from everybody so we could still use without getting sick.
Now, I can't get this out of my head, this 8 portals business, but let's move on a little bit. Before I come to the good points about the 15K race, I really want to touch on a couple of the challenges. I'm going to say that FISO had challenges. So, first of all, technical officials, Grumpy, this is for you. Yeah?
Go on.
Technical officials did an amazing job. Massive shout out to everyone from all the countries that did it. But I understand that the technical officials had some challenges with some of the other marshals because the other marshals were really, shall I say, kids? Is this right? Either kids came in on the 15K?
You're talking about volunteers, aren't you?
Volunteers, kids, yes, marshals, whatever you want to call them.
There were no volunteers. 2 schools that are sports schools decided on the day they were going to send their students on a day trip. So coached them out, dropped them off, and left them there, which nobody knew they were coming. So all of a sudden you've got 15 to 16-year-old kids, young people, literally that have got no interest in being out in the fields. So, but they did a good job, bearing in mind they were literally like dropped into it.
But they literally just dropped into. Was it because they'd not got volunteers of the 15K that they got these kids in, or these younger people in?
We had we had a bunch of them for the 3K as well.
Right.
So they literally showed up. We didn't know they were coming. Neither did some of the higher ups in FISO, by the sounds of it.
Wow.
Grumpy, can I ask?
Go on.
Did these volunteers or people who were volunteered, were they multilingual or did they just speak? I want to say, is it Flemish or French in Belgium? Dutch. Did they all just speak Dutch?
No, they were. Some of them were multilingual, so you could have conversations with them and everything else like that. The ones that enjoyed themselves are the ones that actually like tried to find out what's going on. But some of the others were like, "I'm missing school for this," so hide out if they can. Before
we throw too many rocks here, I should point out that World's Toughest Mudder in Floribama last year also had a load of volunteers who were effectively a community group, who were there on community service, that came wrong, who were there to give back to the community and ended up in a cold field at midnight in just north of Pace. So there is precedent for this from one of the world's biggest events company. So I might give FISO a pass on this. It's hard to get that many volunteers.
And I get why they do it.
Hungary had loads of volunteers. So you had your technical officials that were there to do one thing, and your volunteers were there to do everything else. And the amount of times we got asked why we were doing stuff in Hungary, that they said, no, that's a volunteer's job. It's like, no, we're here, we'll do it. I don't understand this difference in it. But when you get to the only people they had at Belgium for the World's Championships were TOs.
Alan,
yeah.
Okay, I've got a theory now. Who was actually, and Grumpy, you can jump in if you know the answer. Who was actually in charge of the event? Was it the Belgium national governing body, or was it FISO, or did no one know?
Or was it UIPM?
It's the UIPM and FISO that were in charge of the event. The Belgium municipality would have been responsible for the things like grounds maintenance, waste disposal. I'm not sure whether the Portaloos would come under that, but bearing in mind that as an athlete, if you were caught dropping litter, you could be DQ'd. The fact that all the bins were full up on the Friday and weren't emptied for Saturday or Sunday is a bit of a question that I think about 90% of the TOs are going to raise with FISO when we get our feedback sheets.
Tamar, can I just check? Did you drop any litter?
No. I put things near the bin, but definitely, yeah. It's things like that. That's surely if you're organising a big event that you know you need to empty the bins because it's just going to make more mess if they don't.
From an athlete's point of view, Tamar, was you're going to be focused on the race? You know, you focus on it. Was you aware of some of the logistics behind the scenes that were going wrong? Was the whole talk in the village about it, or was it a case you were all talking about the races and the obstacles and things like that?
Yeah, it was definitely the toilets were a big talking point and things like not really knowing when our start times were for the team race. They were like, oh, well, you'll be told them. So it was 8:30 or 9 o'clock, or then for our one, we didn't even have any idea. So from an athlete point of view, where you're trying to like fuel properly and warm up and you don't really know. So things like that should have been sorted.
Yeah, I guess it's from an athlete's point of view, you're aware of it, but and you want it all to be perfect, don't you? You know, you're paying your money to go to the World Championships, and you've been around the world. You've been to a lot of events around the world. I don't want to turn around and say, was this the worst or was this the best? But have you been to better organised ones?
Well, we did expect more because it was the World Championships, and at times we were like, it doesn't feel like it's the World Championships. But it's the first one, so we kind of accepted that they're going to learn from it. There was a lot of people there, a lot of things going on. But yeah, like you said, we pay a lot of money for it. And there were some disappointments, but yeah, on the whole, it was a good event.
Yeah. Now, I understand that you managed to get water on us on the 15K. As you were doing the age groups, there was water, but I'm firmly informed that the elites, they weren't so lucky that when they ran the 15K, the elite races, there were no water on course. 15K, heat, no water, doesn't sound great to me. That's a pretty basic thing. I would have thought there'd have been water everywhere.
Yeah, I think from what I heard, they had refilled it, but I think there were definitely some people had gone through where there wasn't any.
Yeah.
Needed it.
Not good. Well, on the 15K course as well, as you were running it, I know a few people got lost. Pit Rainbow did about 1.5K further than what she should have done. Was you all aware of this? I mean, I heard that Pit came back and told everyone about it as soon as she'd returned where she'd gone wrong and said, was it some tarmac road? If you went down some path, it changed colour, you took the wrong route or something?
There was at one point, it was kind of marked with some twigs.
Yeah.
And it was only because I think there was a spectator standing there that we sort of said which way and they pointed us, but we were just following the, I think their Spartacus race, their arrows.
Right.
And sometimes it's not very obvious. Like Becky Neal had said to us all, don't just follow the athletes in front of you, like look for yourself. But it wasn't obvious. And at one point I was running down the hill and thinking, I hope this is the right way, because if not, it's steep to come back up. But yeah, it's obvious, but I say it's obvious to see how people get lost. You know, it wasn't clear at times. So yeah, you just had to try extra harder to work out where you were going, which is not something you really want to be focusing on when you're racing hard and doing all the obstacles as well.
What was the course like for you? You know, you said you focused on this earlier on. What was it like? How did your race go?
So we started off, I wanted to get out sort of in front, and I could kind of count the people in front of me. So I think I was maybe fifth going out of the main part, like the chain carry, and we all sort of settled into it. And then it was, once we kind of got the sandbag, we were starting to pick people off, but there was one obstacle just before that, and I could see a couple of people in front of me fall off it. So I kind of knew in my head that I was maybe third if I could keep my band all the way around. And then, yeah, it's just the sandbag carry was very long, but you just had to keep going. It was hard for everyone. It was more like the concrete bag. It sort of mine had a bend in the middle, but it wasn't quite in the middle. You couldn't kind of shake the sandbag to get it even. I think men and women had the same weight. We got up to the top, and it was actually like a really nice view. I made sure I sort of looked at that after climbing all the way up there, and then it was just downhill. You knew the water was coming. It was a good mix of terrain as well. And then obviously we came back onto the 3K course, so we sort of knew where we were going from there. And the last obstacle that they had was the dip bars, which seemed to be taking everyone's bands. So I managed to do that one on the longer course. So I finished with my 3 bands. So when I got to Grumpy, I was like, which way? I've got them all.
Is that the dip bars? Is that the one where there was ropes, there was parallel bars, but they were on ropes and they moved? That looked super tough, that.
But it was more that you had to start with your hands right at the beginning. There was tape maybe about 20 centimeters from the end. You had to start with your hands there, and you had to get to the end, and it was about 20 centimeters from the end as well. And you had to have your arms locked out. And then once you'd got to that, then you could put your feet on the rope and then continue with the rest of it. So they'd shortened it down from the 3K, because on the 3K, it kind of had 3 sections. So they took off the last section, and I think a few more people managed it. And the children, they could go underneath the bars instead of doing the dip bars. So
it looked super tough, those dip bars. I think the thing that got me was because there was on the ropes, you're obviously having to pull it into your body as well as move forward, and it looked super hard. I was watching that. I know, shout out to our to Claire Rossen, who did our footage over there. She stayed there quite a while. I was watching it at home. I'm like thinking, oh my god, this looks super tough. And even I saw Ramunas do it. So she filmed Ramunas doing it, and Ramunas is very upper body strong, and he looked like he did it, but he did look like he was having a tough time doing it. And I was thinking, if it's a tough time for Ramunas, it's a tough time for most people out there.
yeah, I think a lot of people as well, they'd worked out how long the rig would take them and took like a tactical band cut. I know I sort of gave up on the 3K because I was thinking actually I could roll my barrel quicker than I could get through. But then for the 15K, I decided I wanted to try and complete it because, like I say, it was shorter. So getting through the first bit, and then the rest was still fairly tricky, but it was just more bars and they were very grippy. So a few people kind of got to the end, but then missed the bell. But it's just that concentrating all the way.
Yeah.
Tamar, just wondering, obviously these obstacles were one attempt. In terms of queues, did you do a good job of making sure people were moving through? Because I know with a multi-attempt competition, sometimes that's a big criticism that you're having to queue for a lane, but were you just straight through?
Yeah, I think on most of them they had 8 lanes. So they were, I don't think I ever queued for anything. And on the team race, we obviously all had to go in the same lane. So that was the only time we had to stop and wait. I don't think there was any queues. I don't think.
So that's definitely a positive, Alan. You got to say, I know we gave him a bit of a kicking for certain logistics, but having lots of lanes open on a World Championship event, so no one's waiting, I'm going to tip my hat to him.
Definitely. I'll tip my hat to him again as well, because of the obstacle layout. From a spectator point of view, I know Claire was quite easily managing to get to quite a lot of obstacles in a short space of time from a spectator point of view. I don't know what it was like on the layout, whether she could go from one to the next to see runners, but it was quite easy for her to get to 5 or 6 obstacles within seconds. Going to give a shout out to our podiums on the 14K. Jamie Gain again, Tamar, big shout out to you, Encarnation Casala Sarande, Tony Leary and Andrew Durance as well. I think that's Tony and Andrew on the podium twice as well, so doing really, really well in them. Let's move on to team event, because you touched on there, Tamar, that no one knew times. Am I right in saying this? I've heard the rumor that you all rocked up. They didn't give you no times on the Saturday, so you all rocked up on Sunday morning, expect to be given times, and there was really no times when you all rocked up on the Sunday.
Yeah, so they had a meeting, I think like a technical meeting that I think Becky went to, and she was telling us, oh, you had to be there at 9 o'clock for the national team. But then obviously, so Ramunas for Lithuania and Fergal for Ireland were saying, well, they've been told 8:30. So they were all kind of getting there for 8:30, knowing it'd be kind of delayed till 9 o'clock. And then for the rest of us, it was like, well, we'll tell you when we're on your sheet of paper for your race. That was literally how we were going. So we had no idea.
That organisation is not good, is it? You would expect them to have a full list, a full itinerary, if not the day before. I would have had it a couple of days before.
I think they added in, so the children were allowed to race in the team race. So a few more teams, I think, were added. But even down to the fact of knowing whether it went like the men, the women, then the mixed, or if the women were after the mix. So just they couldn't even give us some basic information.
Yeah, not great. Not great. What was it like from your point of view, Grumpy, on the team event? Did you know what was happening behind the scenes, or
no? So we got there, was told the wave time starts at 9, and we had to be there at 7. It's like, why have we got to be there at 7 if it don't start till 9? But that's what it is. And you get out onto the course and you stood there and you stood there and you stood there, and all of a sudden you literally get like waves coming through. And then it's like, right, that's it, everyone's done. It's like, that can't beat everyone, surely. But yeah, it was weird because they delayed the start on the 15K as well, I believe, for technical issues.
Yeah.
They did the same on the Sunday for the team wave as well, technical issues.
There seems to be a lot of technical issues.
TOs not being in position because they faffed around so much. And it's like, oh, you need to be out there. It's like, okay, how are we getting out there? Well, you're going to have to walk or you can wait for a buggy. And they only had 2 buggies. Don't put your head in your hand, Ian.
You can't go away with this, Ian, now with Grumpy's on, because like normally I wouldn't say that, but Grumpy's calling you out on this.
But yeah.
What was the race like for you, Tamar? What was it a good, how was it split up? How did you all run? What was it your team? I have seen your team. Was you was running with Lou and Karen McQuarrie, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So we were in the competitive team, it was called, rather than national team, because they could only have one national team of each category. So we were just going to have fun, but as soon as obviously we started, we were like, no, let's race, because we all race together normally and we're always very close, so we know what we're all good at. We had a plan, like we'd been there since probably 9 o'clock, so we'd watched lots of the others, so we knew like the first ramp wall, there's no point in all of us running at it, like we just ran in a straight line and just followed it up. Karen's a really fast runner, so she was sort of setting the pace for us, and really just communicating what we wanted to do, keeping each other going. We didn't really have a set order for who went on each rig first. And some of the things, so like the barrels in the water that we had to go over are very similar to what I do at Nuclear with the aquaphobia. So we had a bit of an idea of that. When we got to the team wall, somebody had told us what they do in Tough Mudder for how to do it. So we had a plan and it worked exactly like we wanted to. And then just keeping each other going. So we wanted to try and beat the kids who were obviously didn't do the water obstacles, didn't do the carries, didn't do the tyre roll. So that was why we said we don't actually know where we finished, because the kids' results are kind of mixed in with ours. But then they didn't do podiums anyway. So we said, well, we've raced that hard and we don't know where we came. And if we did come in the top 3, we don't get anything for it anyway.
What was it like running as a team, though? Because, OCR is very much individualistic, apart from, even when the UKOCR series, you are part of a team, but you are running for yourself most of the time. What was it like as a team, like running together and helping each other and that?
It's good because we're all friends. So I was sharing a room with Karen anyway while we're in Belgium. Obviously, racing Lou all the time, we're always very close, and we do actually encourage each other. So even when I was racing her on the longer race, her husband was supporting both of us. Her son always cheers for me as well as her. So it was nice that we were actually on the same team for once, and really, just keeping each other going. So, yeah.
Ian, were you going to say something then?
You know what? No, I'm lost for words when it comes to this. I will ask Tamar, and Alan, you're probably going to ask this question, so I'm jumping in with it. Given everything that happened this weekend, it sounds like you had lots of ups, a few downs. Are you heading to Central America next year for 2024?
Yes, if I can afford it. So to go to the Worlds this year, I basically had to give up my job. I'm a teacher and they wouldn't let me have the time off. So I said, well, I'm leaving. And actually in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to South America anyway. So I was going to go to Costa Rica, but couldn't fit it in with my plans for this time. So yeah, I definitely want to go, but it means that when I come back from my travels in February, then I'm going to have to get a job to pay for it. But it depends. If rumours are true for when it is, then hopefully I'll be able to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Talk about burying the headline, by the way, in all that. So you resigned to go and do Worlds.
Yeah, so when I asked about going to Euros, because obviously I had to have special permission for that. They said I can have it, but then because this is like the second week of term, they said I would have to go part-time or do something else. So I said, that's fine, I'll leave. And then I've planned, like I say, this big trip. So I'm going to South America, Australia and New Zealand. And on the start line, I met some New Zealand girls. So I'm going to go running with them when I go to New Zealand. Met some Australians who've told me where there's an OCR place. So I'm going to keep training, but yeah.
Are you going to try and get some OCRs in while you're out there? Are you going to go, are you going to try and get any OCRs in or races in while you're out there? Or
my sister lives in Australia and she did one on the beach, and it's literally the weekend before I get there. But otherwise, yeah, I would have done. But I don't think I'll be able to logistically. So yeah.
Oh, wow. So we're going to miss you for a little while. When do you come back?
I come back in February, the beginning of February. So it's based around the race calendar. So I go the Thursday after the British Championships. Yeah, come back in February.
Ian, that means that we have to put the awards till after February when Tamar's back. That's why she's telling us now, isn't it, live?
Absolutely. Tamar, if you can just provide us with your diary so we can make sure it fits, then we'd appreciate. And I promise I won't let Alan be a bad influence this time.
Good luck with that.
I know. Absolutely. Good luck. Grumpy, I'm going to ask you the same question. Have you got your passport? Are you ready to go to Costa Rica? Have you already handed it in your notice?
No. When they said it's Costa Rica, the first thing a lot of us did is check flights, and at £1,500 for a flight, unless FISO decide they're going to subsidise or whatever, that's a bit rich for me. So, and I've got a feeling it's probably going to be a bit rich for some of the others as well. Because obviously in the UK, it's not that far. But if you're coming from Europe, it's a lot further. So it'll cost a lot more. And I'm not sure how they're going to get around that. I'd
Have
like
they
to go,
given
but
have they given an indication of why it's going to Costa Rica? I know they've never had one in South America before, a world champion. But have they given any reason why Costa Rica?
no. But it's the same thing for the Europeans. That's going to be held in Georgia, which is a 9-hour flight, I think. And then there's no direct way to get to the venue from the airport.
Wow. So they're making it a little bit difficult.
So the 2 venues they've got for next year are a bit of a mountain to get to. But Tamer likes climbing hills, so it'll be fine.
So Alan, the Overlord World Euro Championships is back on.
The overall, the World Euro Champion. Easy to get to in Derbyshire.
No, well, I think I'll go Costa Rica.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Yeah, wonderful. Everyone's going to Costa Rica now. Before I let you go, I've got one more thing. I want to talk about the Worlds. I didn't really want to finish on this, but we had FISO, which is the Federation International of something obstacles. But what is it? Go on, Ian, give it me. Federation International.
I have no clue. It's World Obstacle, but
something like that.
FIFA, they're using the French definition.
So the French definition of OCR is this COR, because I've seen the medals that you've all got, and on the ribbons, it doesn't say OCR, it says COR. So is it now known as core racing instead of OCR?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Alan, when you pointed this out to me, I found something out.
Go on.
I did colour obstacle run back in the day. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
I've got a medal that says core. Do you reckon I can put that on eBay as a genuine world championship medal?
I think you've got a chance, Ian. I think you've got a chance. On that note, I'm going to say, guys, thank you for joining us, and that it's much appreciated. Ian, do you want to do your little bit before we go?
Should we get ready? Let's see if we can get this ready and all the way through with no issue. So, Alan, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from you.
Goodbye from me.
And listeners, it's a goodbye from me. Thank you for listening. You take care. Thank you for listening. We'll see you all soon. Stay safe and bye.